If you're tired of fast-paced, rushed story recaps that skip crucial plot details, hidden character motives, and subtle foreshadowing, you've come to the right place. Today, we are breaking down a deeply immersive, layered contemporary dark fiction novel that has taken online book communities by storm, The Silent Corridor of Forgotten Lives. This story is not your typical fast thriller with cheap plot twists and predictable endings. Instead, it is a slow burn, emotionally resonant narrative that dives deep into human regret, second chances, the weight of unspoken truths, and how one single split-second decision can rewrite the entire trajectory of a person's life. Every chapter is woven with intricate details, subtle character development, and thematic symbolism that most casual readers completely miss on their first read-through, which is exactly why we're dissecting every single layer of this story today, step by step, with no skipped scenes and no rushed explanations. Our protagonist of this gripping tale is Elias Voss, a 38-year-old renowned architectural designer who has built a seemingly perfect, enviable life on the surface. To the outside world, he is successful, wealthy, respected in his industry, and living a stable, comfortable existence in a modern, upscale urban apartment he designed entirely by himself. He has clients across the country, loyal colleagues, a clean public reputation, and all the material possessions that society equates with happiness and success. But behind his polished exterior, his tailored suits, his meticulous work projects, and his calm, composed demeanor, Elias carries a crippling, decades-old secret that has slowly poisoned every part of his adult life. For 20 years, he has lived with quiet, persistent guilt, self-isolation, and a subtle paranoia that never fully fades, no matter how much success he achieves or how far he runs from his past. The story opens on a rainy autumn evening, a setting intentionally crafted by the author to set the somber, reflective tone that dominates the entire novel. Elias is working late in his private studio, finalizing the blueprint for a massive community library project that is set to become the crowning achievement of his career. The city has hailed this project as a symbol of hope, connection, and public healing, and Elias has poured years of his life into perfecting every structural and aesthetic detail. As he sits alone in his dimly lit studio, surrounded by blueprints, design tools, and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the rainy city skyline, he receives an unexpected, anonymous letter slipped under his studio door. There is no return address, no signature, no stamp, only a single typed sentence printed on plain white paper. The corridor remembers what you chose to forget. At first, Elias dismisses the letter as a meaningless prank, a random message from a stranger, or a harmless spam note from an overzealous follower of his work. He crumples the paper up, tosses it into his wastebasket, and attempts to return to his work, convinced that he is simply overthinking, worn out from years of high-stress projects and endless work deadlines. But as the night wears on, a strange, unsettling sense of unease settles over him, thick and unshakable. The words from the letter replay in his mind on a loop, refusing to fade away. he finds himself unable to focus on his designs, unable to calm his racing thoughts, and unable to shake the feeling that someone knows his hidden past, a past he has spent 2 decades burying, denying, and running from entirely. What makes this opening sequence so brilliant and masterful is how the author builds tension entirely through subtlety and psychological dread, rather than loud action or dramatic jump scares. There are no violent events, no confrontations, no overt threats in these early scenes, yet the atmosphere of quiet terror and suppressed guilt is palpable in every line of the text. The rainy weather, the empty studio, the silent city outside, and the isolated nature of Elias's work all mirror his internal state: cold, lonely, closed off, and masking a storm of repressed emotion beneath a still surface. This careful world-building establishes the core theme of the novel long before the full plot unfolds. We can never truly escape our mistakes, and the truths we bury alive will always resurface eventually, in ways we cannot predict or control. As we move into the first major act of the novel, we begin to unpack Elias's long-buried past through a series of gradual, well-timed flashbacks that blend seamlessly with his present-day life. 20 years prior, when Elias was just an 18-year-old high school senior, quiet, ambitious, and desperate to escape his small, suffocating hometown, he was best friends with a boy named Jude Marlowe. Jude was Elias's polar opposite: reckless, warm-hearted, spontaneous, unafraid to take risks, and always willing to live in the moment. While Elias spent every day studying, planning his future, and chasing perfection to escape his unstable family home, Jude lived freely, embracing every small joy life offered, and constantly encouraging Elias to stop overthinking and start living. The two boys were inseparable throughout their teenage years, bound by a shared loneliness and a quiet understanding of each other's unspoken struggles. Their hometown was a tiny, forgotten suburban town centered around an old, abandoned high school corridor, a long, dim hallway that had been sealed off decades prior after a structural accident. Local urban legends surrounded this corridor. Townsfolk claimed it was haunted by the memories of past students, that it held the regrets of everyone who had ever walked its floors, and that anyone who entered would be forced to confront the truths they hid from themselves. As teenagers, Elias and Jude would sneak into the abandoned corridor late at night, talking for hours about their dreams, their fears, their frustrations with their small town lives, and their plans to leave and build better futures for themselves. That corridor was their safe space, their secret haven, the only place they felt truly seen and unjudged. On the night that changed everything, just 1 week before their high school graduation, the two boys snuck into the corridor as usual. What started as a casual, ordinary night of conversation and quiet camaraderie quickly spiraled into an unimaginable tragedy. A sudden, violent structural collapse occurred in the aging corridor, trapping both boys beneath falling debris and crumbling drywall. In the chaos, the pain, the fear, and the immediate life or death pressure of the moment, Elias was faced with an impossible, unforgivable choice. He could either stay and fight to free both himself and his best friend, risking death for both of them, or he could free himself first and run for help, leaving Jude trapped and vulnerable in the collapsing structure. Overwhelmed by terror, blinded by panic, and consumed by a desperate, selfish urge to survive and protect the bright future he had spent his entire life building, Elias made the worst decision of his life. He pulled himself free from the debris, abandoned his injured, terrified best friend in the crumbling corridor, and ran. He ran all the way out of the abandoned school, all the way away from his hometown, and never looked back. By the time emergency services arrived, it was too late. Jude Marlowe did not survive the collapse. What makes this tragedy infinitely more heartbreaking and complex is the additional layer of truth Elias has spent 20 years hiding from everyone, including himself. He did not just run out of fear. In that split second, a selfish, terrible thought crossed his mind. He knew that if he stayed, if they were both injured or both killed, his carefully planned future, his college acceptances, his architectural scholarships, his chance to escape his broken family and small-town life would be destroyed. For a single, horrific moment, he chose his own ambition over the life of the person who loved him most, the only person who had ever truly been his family. In the aftermath of the accident, the town ruled Jude's death a tragic, unavoidable accident. No one suspected foul play. No one questioned Elias's story, and no one knew he had abandoned his best friend in his final moments. Elias attended Jude's funeral, put on a mask of grief and sorrow for his family, friends, an entire town, and then left his hometown forever the second he graduated high school. He cut off all contact with everyone from his childhood, never spoke of Jude again, and dedicated every single day of his adult life to building a perfect, successful life as a way to justify his choice, to prove to himself that his selfish survival was worth it. Welcome back to this in-depth literary analysis channel. Today we're diving into a soul-stirring mystery and growth novel titled The Clock Tower That Stopped Time. This story abandons exaggerated suspense tricks and bloody violent plots, focusing entirely on human bond, forgotten memories, the price of hiding secrets, and the courage to retrieve lost selves. With a slow, immersive narrative pace, every trivial daily detail, old relic, and blurred memory fragment hides undisclosed stories. We will unfold the full storyline, trace every character's inner transformation, dig into hidden foreshadowing, and interpret profound life philosophies without cutting any key plot segments. The core protagonist of this story is Silas Hale, a 32-year-old professional archivist who spends nearly all his days sorting, classifying, and preserving ancient documents, old diaries, and historical archives in a quiet town museum. Outwardly, Silas leads a regular, monotonous, and well-ordered life. He is rigorous, quiet, and meticulous in work, highly recognized by colleagues and local residents. He lives alone in a small apartment not far from the museum, keeps a regular schedule all year round, rarely takes part in social parties, and hardly opens his heart to strangers. Such a closed and introverted personality is not formed casually. Since he was a teenager, Silas has been haunted by a vague, incomplete memory blank. He can clearly remember daily trivial matters, academic experience, and working process, yet all fragments related to his teenage adolescence, close family members, and a once vital important person have faded into blurred shadows. He can feel deep emptiness and hidden sorrow lingering in his heart all the time, but he cannot recall what exactly happened in those missing years. Doctors attribute his memory gap to severe mental shock and subconscious self-protection mechanism, making him voluntarily seal painful experiences deep in mind. For years, Silas has been searching for clues to recover lost memories in countless old files and historical materials. He hopes to fill the blank space of his youth and figure out why he always feels inexplicable loneliness and regret deep inside. His plain life maintains steady balance until a special antique salvage task completely breaks his peaceful daily routine. The local ancient clock tower standing on the town's central square has stood for more than 150 years. It once recorded countless sunrise and sunset, witnessed generations of townsfolk's growth and separation, and became the most iconic landmark of the whole town. Due to long-term wind erosion and mechanical aging, the ancient clock stopped running completely half a year ago. The museum officially assigned Silas to organize old records, sort out historical files, and assist professional maintenance teams to repair the century-old clock tower. When Silas steps into the sealed clock tower for the first time, a strange familiar sense instantly surrounds him. The winding wooden stairs, dusty clock operating gears, narrow observation window and faint old wood fragrance all stir dormant consciousness deep in his soul. The moment his palm touches the cold ancient wall, scattered broken memories surge out disorderly, bringing intermittent pictures that he cannot piece together completely. Following the arrangement of work tasks, Silas starts to comb through massive old manuscripts, resident memoirs, and tower maintenance records stored inside the clock tower. During the sorting process, he accidentally discovers a locked hidden wooden box hidden in the deepest corner of the top floor. After unlocking it with old keys recorded in archives, a large number of private belongings emerge inside. Worn sketchbooks, faded vintage music discs, hand-carved small ornaments, and a stack of thick handwritten letters bound with old ribbon. These unfamiliar yet strangely intimate old items gradually pull Silas back to the summer 10 years ago. At that time, he was a lively, unrestrained teenage boy, fond of wandering around the clock tower and drawing all kinds of scenery and figures on sketch paper. He had an inseparable best friend named Marnie, a cheerful, bold and warm-hearted girl who loved playing musical instruments and exploring old mysterious buildings. The clock tower was their exclusive secret base in youth. After school every day, the two would climb up the spiral stairs side by side, lean against the window overlooking the whole town, talk about endless dreams, trivial troubles, and unknown future expectations. Silas was quiet and sensitive while Marnie was outgoing and brave. They complemented each other perfectly, shared all secrets, and made an irreplaceable promise to accompany each other to grow old and explore the wider world together. Youth time was simple and beautiful, but unexpected sudden disaster came without warning. 10 years ago on a stormy thunder night, heavy rain swept the whole town. Strong wind shook ancient buildings violently, and hidden structural risks of the aging clock tower were completely triggered. Silas and Marnie sneaked into the tower as usual to take shelter from rain, unaware that dangerous collapse crisis was quietly approaching. In the violent shaking, broken bricks, and falling iron parts fell constantly. Facing sudden deadly danger, the two teenagers fled towards the tower door in panic. In the chaotic escape process, accidental separation happened. Silas was hit by falling heavy objects and lost consciousness on the spot. When he woke up in hospital, all people around told him that Marnie unfortunately failed to escape safely and lost her life in the tower collapse accident. The huge grief and intense sense of guilt struck the young Silas fiercely. He always blamed himself deeply, thinking he failed to protect his closest friend and abandoned her in danger. The unbearable pain was too heavy for a teenager to bear. Under tremendous mental pressure, his brain started self-protection shielding, forcing all memories related to Marnie and the tower accident into deep seal, forming an irreversible memory blank. After recovering from injury, Silas left the town temporarily, grew up alone in alien places and never dared to touch anything relevant to the clock tower and lost youth friendship. For a whole decade, Silas lived with vague hollow pain. He forgot the details of getting along with Marnie, forgot the original appearance of his best friend, even forgot his sincere regret and sorrow. but his subconscious never truly let go of this past experience. That is why he chose archivist work related to old memories, and always unconsciously paid attention to news about the ancient clock tower. As more old letters and sketch manuscripts are sorted out, more hidden truth gradually surfaces. Those handwritten letters written by Marnie record her careful observation on tower structure hidden dangers long before the accident. She had noticed abnormal shaking and aging damage of the building and repeatedly reminded relevant departments to conduct safety inspection. Yet no one paid attention to the warning from a young girl. What shocks Silas most is a secret letter hidden at the bottom of the box. It turns out Marnie did not die in the collapse that night. At the critical moment of danger, she pushed unconscious Silas out of the dangerous area at the cost of hurting herself severely. Local residents rushed to rescue immediately, and she was sent to distant city hospital for emergency treatment. In order to let Silas get rid of heavy guilt and start a new life without mental burden, Marnie and her family decided to hide the survival fact, quietly left the town for rehabilitation treatment and never appeared in front of Silas again. After recovering from serious injury, Marnie also suffered psychological trauma and could not face the old days and lost friend calmly. She silently paid attention to Silas's growth track from afar all year round, watched him graduate, work and settle down, but never had courage to meet again. All the missed time, unspeakable feelings, and hidden worries are fully recorded in every page of letters. After recovering the complete sealed memory, Silas bursts into long-suppressed tears. The blank 10 years of youth are filled with sincere friendship, desperate protection, and helpless separation. He finally understands that all along he was not abandoned, but guarded silently in unknown distance. His self-blame for many years is unnecessary misunderstanding, and the friend he thought he lost has always been living well in the world. With the motivation of retrieving memories, Silas no longer evades past pain and regrets. He actively looks for all clues left by Marnie, inquires old townsfolk who knew the truth, and traces the life track of his long-lost friend. During the period of searching, he also re-examines his own life state over the past decade. He realizes he has been trapped in invisible shackles caused by memory loss, dare not establish deep intimate relationship with others, and always maintains alienated defense attitude towards life. The maintenance project of the clock tower advances steadily day by day. Silas personally participates in repairing old facilities and sorting historical stories of the tower. The stopped clock gradually restarts steady operation under careful maintenance. Just like this ancient timepiece, Silas's stagnant inner heart also begins to wake up and move forward again. He walks through every corner where he once wandered with Marnie, bids farewell to the confused, self-enclosed self in the past, and learns to reconcile with unforgettable youth memories. After twists and turns of searching and waiting, Silas finally meets Marnie again in the late autumn 10 years later. Years carve slight changes on their appearances, but the tacit understanding and familiarity accumulated in youth still exist between them. They calmly talk about the hidden truth of the accident, the helplessness of forced separation, the missing, and concern hidden in 10 years' time, as well as the confusion and struggle experienced alone in growth. No blame or complaint exists in their conversation, only regret for wasted time and cherish for hard-won reunion. Both of them once hid themselves because of trauma and misunderstanding, missed countless opportunities to meet and communicate, and wasted precious youthful years in mutual silent concern. In the later part of the story, the two reconnected companions accompany each other to walk out of the shadow of past trauma. Silas no longer restricts himself in narrow archives room, starts to travel around to collect folk historical stories and bravely embrace diverse life possibilities. Marnie also walks out of psychological haze, picks up the musical instrument she once loved and resumes her passionate attitude towards life. They jointly sort out all historical anecdotes of the century-old clock tower, organize youth memories into hand-painted picture albums, and hold small public exhibitions in the museum. They use their own experiences to tell townsfolk that time can stop temporarily due to pain, but it will never stay stagnant forever. All hidden secrets will be revealed eventually. All sealed memories can be awakened properly. The final ending of the novel presents gentle and peaceful reconciliation and growth. The ancient clock tower rings on time every day again, spreading steady time rhythm over the whole town. Silas completely fills the blank memory of youth, releases years of inner burden and no longer lives in confusion and self-blame. He cherishes the hard-won reunion friendship, faces past gains and losses calmly and firmly moves towards future life. This novel takes the time-stopping clock tower as the core carrier, linking memory loss, sincere friendship, helpless separation, and final reunion together. It conveys profound thoughts about time and memory to readers. Many painful experiences will be temporarily hidden by our subconscious mind, yet those important people and unforgettable feelings will never truly disappear from life. They will hide in old objects, familiar scenes, and deep consciousness, waiting for appropriate opportunities to wake up again.